have 4 different pages. Well, there was a few that were like, yes, sir. Okay. Yeah.
It's out of the playbook again.
It is out of the. Maybe it's just sections here. I got it right there. Thank you. Yeah, maybe 1 or 2 of the packets. It was the first page was in there twice. Cool.
Do you want me to send it?
Yeah, if you can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll do that and then I'll share it. I'll email it to you.
that's cool.
But
Kate has like her best month that we got all of. It's super easy to get on the board.
I mean, yeah, 500. You used to be like a million and you were like maybe.
I think.
Yeah.
Depressing.
Wait till like May, then it'll be just.
If you guys read and Debbie, we have a death and we have knee surgery. We have cards going around if you know them. Please, I'm gonna pass them so you just know what they are. So you know what they are?
We're gonna do teams. I'm warning you two might want to just make yourselves, before you get too comfy, just come on over and take these 2 spots. So I was actually in here this morning and ruffled all the tables up. So it's actually designed as these 4 tables, these 4 tables, and these 4 tables. We're gonna do breakout pretty much the same way. And it's been a weird week. Snow.
Oh.
In a virtual day.
Somebody else comes in. I have.
Yeah. There's like 40 people in the lot. I hate it at the work. All right. So this is going to be, active. This is going to be active. But the first thing that we're going to do is, I need somebody to volunteer to read what I believe is the last page, about list to last. So who wants to read the first 2 paragraphs of that? There's lots to love. Start with that.
All right. There's lots to love about listings. Listings are critical to your ability to build your business to the highest level. Listings will help you understand your market's trends and inventory. Listings will help you gain more control over your time and money. Seller listings are also good for creating referral and repeat business. In fact, according to the most recent NAR profile buyers and sellers, 63% of sellers found their agent through referrals or used an agent they previously worked with. So it's worth your while to ensure that the value proposition you're offering your seller clients won't just surprise and delight, it should firmly establish you as their real estate agent for life. When you're working with listings, your goal is to net your clients the most amount of money with the fewest number of hassles in the least amount of time. You'll do this by providing seller core services that generally fall into 4 stages.
Time out. Okay, now I want to go through these 4. Slow down. Okay. Number 1. Who wants to read the first one?
The consulting to decision.
What does that mean?
Consulting, giving advice so they make a decision.
Okay. Anybody else want to take a stab? What does consulting to a decision mean?
Taking the time to learn about what they need and want out of the process and provide them with the right decision.
Okay, so how? No, we're on. They all have a page, but consulting to a decision. So a seller core service. I'm gonna break this down because it's really important. Literally, your job description is on the screen right now. Did you know that? Okay, so consulting to a decision. Who actually had their last buyer or seller consult here in this building? Buyer or seller?
Buyer.
How did it go? What did you do?
Basically went over the buyer agency contract, consumer notice, like laid out my value. said, hey, this is gonna be a tricky process. I'm here for all of it, and just kind of laid out to create my value and consult them best I could.
Consult them,
As best I could.
right? So my challenge to you is that when you're meeting with clients, if you're making it about, I'm trying to get rid of all these note takers. If you're making it about, buyers are great examples. Now, no guilt here, no shame. What's that? Oh, yeah, I just,
It's Nick.
dang it. If you're meeting, if a buyer calls you off of Zillow or some internet, whose first reaction is I'm gonna go meet him at the house? Hasn't been a reaction. It has been, right? You can, it's okay, like if you're just like, I don't think I wanna raise my hand, because I don't think that's the right answer, right? So and it's like, well, consulting to a decision, now this is on the listing side, right? But when we go to a property, right, and we're gonna be going for a listing, the first step is to consult. Like, hey, I'm not gonna do it.
Do it.
No, I can't do it. All right. So, but hey, Belinda, I appreciate you having me out here to your property. Before we even do a walk around the house, I would love to just sit down with you at your kitchen table, get to know you. I want to understand everything that's going on here, what your ideal outcome is, and then we'll move into the house. It might seem a little counterintuitive because you think I'm the real estate agent, I'm here for the house. I'm actually here for you. Let's sit down and really get to know what's going on. That's a consult.
Yes. And I think they appreciate it too, once they think about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're sitting here to listen to them.
Right. Well, who's the most important person to them? Them, right? So like they think, and this is one of the things that has happened with real estate agents is we've devalued ourselves because we make ourselves transaction deep. If you go and meet a client at a house, again, no, I'm not looking at anybody with guilt, but if the first thing you do is go and meet them at a house, how deep is your relationship? It's address deep, right? You open the door. So if you don't want to have your job description be door opener, don't be a door opener. Be a consultant. And with buyers, I think it can be a little bit tricky because sometimes you have to earn that with them. So maybe it's like, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead. I've never met you before. I'm happy to meet you at this property on the first time, but I'm going to look it up and let's go to the Starbucks that's a half a mile away. So we'll do the walkthrough at the property, and then we'll go and talk about it at the Starbucks, and I'll get to know you a little bit, get that feedback from you, and really learn about this. Because the worst thing I would hate to have happen is that we look at this house and you fall in love. And now we actually have to go backwards. Which is true. You go and you show a house to a new lead. And again, what's on the screen is listings, but I'm talking, it was very, very guilty with buyers, right? We go, and then it's like, oh, well, I love it. Cool. Well, so what's your loan situation? Right? Now we're going backwards. We didn't consult first. So on the listing side, we consult first, consult to a decision. Literally, what decision are you consulting them to?
Picking you and sell their house.
Those are the two decisions. Are you committed to sell? Are you committed to use me?
I also look at it as a good way for the agent to determine whether they want to work.
Yes.
100%, right? Because have you ever been in business with somebody? Have you ever had a listing or buyer side agreement with somebody and you resent it and regret it the whole way?
Yes.
They know fast. Or at least know what you're getting into, right? Hey, like, I can tell that you're gonna be, you want an update every 2 days. I'm more like every 4 days. So
We might not be the right.
we may not be the right fit.
But if they've had 13 agents, you're probably gonna be 14, they'll be on to 15 soon.
At least you know where you stand, right? So, all right, so I wanted to slow this down because this is so critical. So, step number 1 for seller core service is consulting decision. Number 2, marketing the property. Now, what was the paper I gave out last time? Who can remember? I think she might actually still have her. Anybody remember what I gave out last time?
Social media?
I did
No.
yeah.
Well, the,
Open house? Yes,
lead generation.
and lead generation around listings. So in here, and what we're gonna do now for today. For today, we're not necessarily gonna do that because I was like, I don't want to do the same exact thing again. But I'm telling you, if you are not using your listings to generate that additional piece of business, it is a complete disservice to yourself and your client. So, and mostly you, to be honest, because does anyone know the percentage of houses that sell by way of an open house?
It's high. I know most of mine are that way.
That actually sell by way of an open house?
Mine do.
Statistically, from NAR, it's under 7%.
Mine's like 86% or that way.
Yeah. So if you do an open house, set the expectation that the open house is for you, not the customer. If you sell it at the open house, cool, right? And you can.
But normally that's in the luxury line, the higher price market.
I think
it
there's
is-
absolutely truth to that.
Yeah.
And I think that part of that is that the transactional nature of lower price and the type, totally think that's real. But just being aware of that, right? Like when you're walking, when you're doing, and what was the amount of hours that we agreed that it took to actually run an open house the right way? 10 hours to run an open house. Not, I choose an open house on Friday, I show up to it on Sunday, and I bring snacks. That's not it, right? So if you're gonna do 10 hours worth of work, just being aware that like you're doing that work for you. And the customer will be the other beneficiary. Okay. So marketing the property. You have to have a plan. And one of the things that we're going to do today is we're going to break out into 2 teams. That's why the tables I messed up and I'm gonna get yelled at later for that. But we're gonna design and I'm gonna challenge both teams to come up with a 7-step listing marketing plan. Right? She's like, I'm done, good to go. So
I actually brought it. I didn't know what you were gonna do today.
that's good. So we're gonna do a 7-step listing plan. You can't use hers verbatim. It can be inspiration. But marketing the property, right? How many touches can you create around the listing that create marketing opportunities? And thinking in terms of it, and maybe the pro level challenge of this is that if you have a 7-touch or 7-step marketing plan, having 4 for finding other listings and 3 for finding buyers. If you don't know what the target is of your marketing, then you're not marketing, you're just hoping. So if you're sending postcards to the neighbors, are you trying to find buyers or sellers?
Sellers,
If you are holding an open house, are you trying to find buyers or sellers?
right? Maybe both.
So whoever said both is right, but it's buyers first, but then buyers that come with a house to sell.
Can you repeat what you said before that?
Yeah, if you send postcards to the neighbors
Okay.
around your listing, you're marketing to sellers. By the way, marketing is made up of 2 things. This is like basic shift book. Marketing is made up of 2 things. It's made up of method and message. So method is how are you doing it? Message is what are you saying? If your message doesn't identify who the target audience is, it is worthless. So if you send, here's a great dramatic example, and 100% realtors are doing this in the real world right now. Sending postcards to the neighbors that say, do you want to buy a house? I have a listing at 123 Walnut Street. And sending that to 127 Walnut Street. Why?
Why?
Does 127 Walnut Street want to be the buyer of 123 Walnut Street? You're laughing, it 100% is happening. Wrong message to the wrong audience. Just gotta think about it. Save yourself the money on postage for the wrong thing to the wrong person, right? So the 4 pieces of the core services, number 1, consulting to decision. So we talk about that. We want to know who, and you can write this down. Who are they and what do they want? Who am I talking to and what do they want? If I don't know what they want, I don't know what decision they're making. Then we market the property. That's literally what we're going to work on here in a moment. Number 3, negotiate the contracts. How much of your real estate licensing exam was dedicated to negotiating?
0.
That's
Very little.
Yeah, well, how much of it was also designed around marketing? I mean, I'd argue the ethics component of it, right? Like we're not doing any of the illegal stuff, but we're fairly unequipped. What's that?
Sounds already.
Yeah, we are fairly unequipped. We know a little bit of consulting. We know nothing about marketing. Nobody teaches negotiations. And the only thing we learn is the paperwork and how not to go to jail. What? We're so unequipped. That's why, I mean, that's what, I was at the Pittsburgh office on Tuesday and we were talking, like, one of the things that makes KW different, I don't have an easel or a whiteboard, which is fine. One of the things that makes KW different, KW starts with a foundation of culture. Okay? Above culture is training. Everything in our system at KW is designed with the agent as the customer of the brokerage. It's a very different model than a lot of the other companies. So we start with a foundation of culture, then we move to training. So we immediately recognize that 3 of the 4 pieces of the job, you come to us with nothing. We gotta figure that out. That's why you're here, right? So you're in the room every time. How long have you been a licensed agent?
December.
Since December. Show up to every class, came to the first class and immediately got a piece of business because we trained you in this room about how to go find business, right?
Mhm.
Made you uncomfortable, but it worked. Don't make that smirk. Yeah, it did, right? Cause it's like, well, that's not what I signed up for. I went to get a real estate license, not learn how to consult, market, find business, have scripting, make calls. What is all that nonsense? I wasn't ready for any of that, right? So closing the sale is actually the one thing you're the most prepared for because that's where it's like tactical. It's like compliance aspect and getting it to the closing table. By the way, closing the sale is part of your, if you're doing it great, closing the sale is actually part of your lead generation. Have you ever thought about that?
Succeeded at your jobs.
You literally delivered the thing that they asked for, right? So when you deliver on that, you're now creating proof of concept. And then if you are actually taking that to the one step further and maybe saying, hey, we got you to the closing table, I'd really appreciate it if you put a Google review or a Facebook review for me. Or we're sitting at the closing table and we ask the simple question, who do you know that I need to be talking to next? It's not that hard of a question, but it's a really easy question not to ask. Right? Who do you know? Ask it that way, by the way. Do you know is easy to say no to. Do you know anybody who's thinking of selling? Nope. Who do you know that I should be talking to? Different question, different result. All right, so these 4 core services. So I'm going to read the last sentence. Adrian did a good job. He got us up to this point, and then we pause because this is really important, right? If you fulfill these core services and act as a fiduciary for your buyer clients, you may find that your listings will love you back. So these behaviors plus being fiduciary. What does fiduciary mean? You all are fiduciaries. What's responsible? It does mean responsible. What does it mean? Having the customer's best interest.
First before yours.
Correct.
Relationship of loyalty.
It is a relationship of loyalty. That is accurate, right? Think of it like, right, there's like 2 to 3 really great examples of fiduciary level relationships. One would be an attorney-client relationship. One would be a power of attorney, meaning you would literally have agency over somebody else's behaviors and you can go and sign and act on their behalf. And a third one would be you as a realtor. That's how heavy it is. It's why, scary. That's why real estate transactions can lead to jail. Because it is that, sorry. But that's true, because the consequences in real estate are that great. Okay, so time to break into teams. And we're going to build a listing, we're going to build a 7-step listing plan as teams. And I'm gonna let online be a team, because I believe we've got.
No.
Website people, are you there? Zoom? Hello,
I am.
Carter's here. Good. All right, you guys are gonna be a team. And I want you to do the same thing. So if you can come off of, put your cameras on, come off mute, and we're gonna work as a team. I'd like for the online folks to do the same exercise. So, why don't you go to Adrian's group? We have 6 here and we'll have 6 here. Look at that. So, do you need a blank piece of paper? Or can somebody be the secretary for the team?
That would be me.
Immediately got nominated.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here's the rule. Here's the rule. We're gonna start this 7-step listing process starts not when the listing agreement is signed. It starts when the listing appointment is. Seven-step listing process that starts when the listing appointment is set. So go ahead and work as a team, brainstorm best ideas, and then we're gonna see what we come up with.
Hi, Adrian. Hi, I'm John. Yeah, I think I'm gonna. So, sure. All right, starting it.
Zoom folks,
Like,
our 7-step listing process. Go ahead, get working.
You do.
We start whenever.
So that's something.
appointment would be step, but I don't think that's very marketing.
You try to plan all your ideas.
Yep. Good. If you want to do something pre-listing, you can.
You're by purpose.
Well,
Maybe.
in my luxury, they all get a packet ahead of time. Right?
Okay, so I did something where I would send out like.
That everybody, but some people I know that are, you get, they all get a free packet.
I would send out a plan. Some of the pre-listing. If you could move in.
I like it. Send you something.
Tell me a little bit about the house.
How did your how your machine cleaner work?
Fine.
How did it work? Did you dump the whole thing in? What?
Do 10 ounces of cleaner, 10 ounces of water.
It would do.
Basically.
Hold the open.
Take that in the house.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
For this house or open house, I'd like to do a welcoming home, welcome here. For free, and they let me do it. No, the buyer was not mine, and all those people got to see me again. That I had invited before.
So it'd be like.
Yeah, it was always in. You've heard, I didn't know that the buyer would take it, but I thought, what do I have to lose to offer? So anyway, that's your thing for today. That's your takeaway of the day.
Okay, time.
Mhm.
Time. First question I have. Do you have a team need? You guys didn't make a team need? You guys didn't make a team need? Where's the team pride? Five. All right. We'll take team wall. Zoom folks, you are, you're gonna go in a minute. I'm getting your volume up. Can somebody online say hello? Oh.
Hi.
Thank you. All right, hang tight. Thank you. So one of you has to be the speaker. So, you guys are, oh, they have the name, Team Zoom.
Team luxury here.
I like us to. So, Team Wall. Team Wall. If I have to make the name up, stop. Team Wall. Who's your spokesperson? Adrian. Your 7-step listing plan.
All right, so first thing we did was research the house in the neighborhood so that we have an idea of what we're walking into, what's going on around the property and the property itself.
Okay.
We
Is that
are,
number one?
that's number one,
Research.
research.
Okay.
Okay, so number two is our listing packet prior to the appointment.
Okay.
We want them to know what the expectations are at the appointment and who we are. We get there,
Okay. So a pre-listing packet.
listing packet.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
We have the listing appointment then that is going to give us a chance to learn about what they're looking for, learn about solutions that we can provide from them, review the paperwork, collect all that information, and schedule what's coming afterwards.
Great.
Photography, timeline, things like that.
Great.
We then have the photography done, virtual tour, staging. That's the next part of our marketing plan, which is to present them.
Actually.
Hey.
Okay.
Julie,
How did they split?
That was tragic.
help.
Right? What a deep, right in the middle of my mojo. All right, so we, so then social media, we believe, is the key part of once you have your photos, you have everything entered, everything's there. So this is a combination of scheduled posts, advertised coming soon, now active, open house, under contract, closed. It's not just the posts, it's also the videos that we're doing, because to get traction on social media, you need the videos.
Okay.
We're gonna have print mail, because that's a great way to get some EDDM action around the neighborhood.
Mhm.
Share that you've got this
What does EDDM stand for?
every door direct mail,
Not.
not the dance.
Just making sure.
Yeah, no, not that. And then the last thing we're gonna do is go door to door around the neighborhood, and we're going to use as an opportunity to introduce ourselves to the neighbors in case they're looking for the opportunity to list, or maybe they would like to find their new neighbors, and now they know that there's a chance to move into the neighborhood.
Okay. 7 steps. Team Wall.
Team luxury.
Team luxury. I was gonna call you team
Team what?
middle.
Oh, no, we like luxury here.
All right, so team luxury, 7 steps. Who's your spokesperson?
You go.
It's yours, by the way, so see what.
Well, I just put that, I start some things they said because we had said the same thing. Again, we did the pre-packet thing. And I actually have it hard copy and I have my kids deliver it for me. Deliver to the house,
Okay.
directly to the house.
How?
And hopefully they're home. They go up and knock on the door.
Mhm.
This is a packet from Belinda Onash. You have an appointment tomorrow night at whatever. But anyway, and that's all in there. And then they've also got an email saying all this is coming. And then you're listing an appointment.
Okay.
And that's where you sit down and have your consultation.
Mhm.
You set your timeline, you tell them everything you're gonna be doing for them. So that it's out in the open, they know, after you've listened to what they want, what they need or what their expectations are. Anyway, that's all there, and then, yeah, your timeline goes together, so you've got coming soon. You've got your photos, your social media, your signage. You've got your open house already scheduled. On mine, I do open houses with a purpose, and that's because I have a system all behind them.
Okay.
This starts this many days before, I'll be doing this, I'll be doing this, so they know exactly what I'm doing. With my open houses, so you do that. Like we do the videos of the houses because you need that on social media, but I was telling these guys, a lot of my luxury lines, when I do my videos of the house, I put them out in paid ads on Facebook, and I have sold a lot of my luxury line from Facebook paid ads because I send them wherever the money is. So if I'm selling $1 million house, I'm sending it to where I know people can afford $1 million houses. So if that's Baltimore, if that, from here, Washington, whatever, I'm sending it to places like that.
You're doing paid ads of the video that you're having?
Yeah, I put my video up on the
Okay.
paid ads. And you know what? I used to do pictures, but I get a lot more hits. I can get sometimes, depending, especially on holidays, I will get 59, my highest is 59,000 clicks on my videos. For $30? Are you kidding? You know, it's cheap. Anyway, I just didn't know that's an extra. Anyway, so we have our social media too.
What number is that?
It's probably 4.
Okay.
Because we didn't put number 1, our research pre-packet. We did our listing appointment as 1, so we had
That's fine.
step 1,
We're good.
whatever. So, and then we go into active, where it goes on, or active on the MLS,
Mhm.
which then they realize it goes everywhere else. And I don't know if all you guys know this too, with KW, it goes around the world because we have our own MLS.
Mhm.
Did you know that? So anyway, that's in my value. You don't get that unless you have a KW agent or eyes on it. So anyway, in this market, it didn't make any difference. The market would come out of it. It might make a difference. And then you have your open house scheduled. And then on the active on actions, we have, one of the bullet points is do reverse prospecting.
Okay.
Call agents and reach out to those to let them know that they have somebody that's interested in this house.
Okay.
Schedule your open house. And then door knock the day before. I always do VIP parties. And then sold some.
Sold. There's step 7 is just be sold. Very bold. Okay. I like it. Team Zoom. Team Zoom. So, Juan, you wanted to say something first and then, but you also didn't volunteer yourself as the spokesperson. So I'm all ears for you, buddy.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
So yes, it was a little bit tough given the fact that, I mean, we were kind of doing it through chat. I wasn't sure if we were broken up into a Zoom group or not. So hopefully it seemed like most of the team members were on board with what we kind of laid out. So 1 was, setting the appointment. 2, we mentioned about having a listing presentation I kind of wanted to piggyback on that, making it a little bit more, custom designed to where the person is, if you know them or not, in the neighborhood. And 3 we put was research the property and the neighborhood. Gather details from MLS, tax records, any previous listings that may have happened, drive by the property to assess the curb appeal and neighborhood trends, research recent comparables and current market trends.
Okay.
2 was then understand the seller's motivation, ask, some questions to understand the reasoning for selling, determine their timeline, expectations, and any concerns they may have. Identify potential objections so you can address them in your presentation
Okay.
or before your presentation. 3 was then to have your CMA prepared,
Okay.
analyze recent sales, active listings, expired listings to recommend a competitive price, provide pricing strategies and market insights, and be ready to explain how market trends impact their home's values today versus, what maybe some of the expectations they had or some of the things they heard from the recent or neighbors or friends experiences.
Cool.
4 was then 6 was develop a strong marketing plan. Outline how you will market the property, including online listings, social media, professional photography, and open houses. Highlight your unique selling approach, such as staging, virtual tours, or target ads, and then show examples of your past successful listings and marketing materials.
Awesome.
And then 7, wait, what was that?
It's basically the appointment, bring your documents and review and.
Yes, bring all necessary documents, have all the listing agreement documents you need then, seller's disclosures. Be prepared to explain your commission structure and contract terms and seller obligations, and provide a checklist for the seller to prepare for their home for showings and pictures. And I also like to kind of review, your presentation, your CMA, and potentially do like a role play if you can with your partner or a friend or a team member.
Love it. Thank you. I think good plan there for Team Zoom. Kara has an ad there, and you are off mute. I don't know if you wanted to say this out loud or I can just read it, but you were just saying a choose me paper.
Yeah, just a value, just a paper on what that all kind of summed it up, but just adding value of why choose me over another agent, just your value, what you would do for them.
I love
that differentiates you.
Right here.
Yeah, it really has. So here's my, I have some feedback for you guys. I have some feedback on a couple of things. Number 1, Kara, that's gold, right? A why choose me. By the way, having planned is part of why they choose you. If you roll into that listing presentation and you say, hey, you know what, this is going to seem a little awkward, but I'm actually going to show you what we're in the middle of. We're actually at step 3 of the plan that I've already put in motion around your property. And they'd be like, what? You're like, yeah, oh yeah, step 1 was as soon as we had the conversation that you were even thinking of selling, I started doing research. Step 2 was I actually prepared that in this professional document. That's right here. Step 3 is last night when I dropped off that pre-listing packet. So that's there. We're now at listing presentation, which is here. I want to show you the other 4 steps or 9 steps that are about to happen when you say yes to working with me. Do they want to work with somebody who has a plan or somebody who's winging it? Right?
You would think.
So I think what Kara just brought to the table is really gold, is making sure that you're showing them that, and that value proposition is about you. 2 components, right? People do business with people they know, like, and trust, right?
I have to say that Belinda taught me that.
Yeah. So it starts with they have to believe that you're going to do things in their best interest, and they have to know that you're capable, right? So being a good person, or like building trust, having a good appointment, a consulting appointment, and then the other aspect is showing them that you have a plan. That's actually part of it. So my first observation was, I thought that was gold, and I think part of rolling into an appointment and going for the listing that helps you execute that really well is what we just did there, that exercise we just did. And here's observation number 2. Y'all are very functional. Very functional conversation today. if you look at your 7 steps, how many of the 7 steps are gonna generate you leads?
Well, my VIP parties, that's what they're doing.
Understood. Every step should. I mean, I'm looking at the Zoom one, and also you guys got into the research, the planning, the prepare the documents, that's all cute. For this listing, we have to think exponential. So I want to challenge you guys, when you build your 7-step, 10-step, whatever your listing plan, whenever you build this, I want you to think, what would have to happen for every single step to be tied to something that could generate more business? Not just this listing I'm going for. What would you need to do in your behaviors to not get the listing that you're going on the listing appointment for and still get a piece of business?
Say that again? I didn't make it.
What would you need to do so that if you went on this appointment and didn't get this listing, you could still get a piece of business?
If you documented all of it and shared it on social media while you were doing some of this work.
Social media social media posting while you're doing it, the door knocking around it. So, I mean, this is one of the things, I'll give you a freebie. I've actually shared this in this building and in this brokerage before. Every listing appointment you go on, put a time block on the back end of it on your calendar for door knocking the neighbors. Because you just did all of that research and now you're gonna share it with one person. Hey, I was actually just at your neighbor's house. Now, I'm obviously like ask permission. Hey, are you like, if it's like, we're getting an ugly divorce and we don't want anybody to know, probably, you know, hey, like, hi, I'm Adrian. I was just at your neighbor's house. Did you hear the drama over there? Not that, right? But literally but you know, hey, it's a good meeting. Everything is fine. That got permission. And it's like, you know, hey, my name is Joe. I was actually next door at your neighbor Adrian's house. We've been in conversation for a little while. He's actually moving forward with listing his property. So just wanted to make you aware, something to be excited about, that you're going to see some activity. May end up with a new neighbor. Hopefully that doesn't make things awkward with you and Adrian for the next couple of months while he's in the process of selling. But I was doing research for Adrian to prepare for my appointment with him, and I was shocked at some of the things I found. No pressure here, but I just wanted to drop this off with you. This is actually the market research that I did. Take a look at that and call me if you have any questions. If there's anything that you see on here that's interesting to you, give me a shout. Knock on 5 doors after the listing appointment. You're already in the neighborhood. You did 87% of the work. You did the market research, you drove there, right? Like, all you have to do is like walk out of the front door, walk 65 steps to the right and knock on the door and give them the work that you did too. And now you're exponential. So I want to challenge you to go into your 7 steps. A lot of you were very functional. It's like, how am I going to do this listing? That's cool, right? But how am I going to do this listing and generate 3 other things? Go deep on that. Don't be linear. Don't be 1 for 1. This is too hard of a business to just be 1 for 1. You're going to do all that research and give it to one person. In fact, I would argue you could do that research and maybe like if you have, and this is where command, a lot of agents completely underutilized. You know, so like Danny's in the room, Adrian's in the room. You guys have seen the Salesforce that's over at Integrity, right? It's $150,000 CRM build out custom. Okay, you guys don't have that, but you have command, which is a multi-million-dollar CRM.
I love command.
Yeah, Salesforce is like the largest CRM in the world, globe, right? And that's what they use over there because it's big and it allows their big, complicated organization to do what it needs to do. But you have command, which has all the same functionality and it's included in what you pay to be an agent at KW. Use it because the tagging comes into play. Now, why I say that is, imagine you do that market research and the market research is in zip code 17402. And now you go into command, you're like, 17402. Hey, 17402. Was just doing some market research for an upcoming listing that I'm working on. Wanted to share it with you. You came to mind. Generic email, right? Like, ish. Like it has a template. Attach the CRM to it, or the CMA, or even not all of the CMA, but just the market research, just the comps. Hey, as I was doing it, I pulled these 6 recent comps, and I couldn't believe what values are looking like in your area. Send that out to everybody that's tagged on that zip code. You guys see what happens? Like. It's thinking exponentially. You can take that 7 steps And it's like, cool, what of this is functional to do this listing? And what of this is actually gonna generate me more business? And every single one of those 7 steps or 10, or however many steps you're gonna put into your system should have an opportunity for you to make money. Don't do work that doesn't make you money. I mean, you will, but you wanna do as little of it as possible. Okay. So the last 10 minutes, you can go back to your regular seats if you moved, or if you're sitting with your back to me. Was that a cool exercise to do that?
Mhm.
And just think differently?
Thank you.
Definitely.
That chair will travel. Okay. Everybody go to this one. It says dominate your farm in 3 years. Online, folks, I think you got a copy of it in the chat. Dominate your farm in 3 years. It's page 49 of the MREA playbook.
I've got it right here. Thank you.
Okay, here's something really interesting about this. You have a copy? Okay, cool. Everybody have a copy? Good. Here's what's really interesting. Go through these 8 things. Who wants to read them out loud? Danny? Just the bullets.
I got you.
Read like every word of the whole thing, just the bullets.
Snail mail, boots on the ground, social media, open houses, join the club, throw parties. Everyone loves a pie. Help them be first.
Cool. So we don't have to, like, you're probably like, I want to read that one. Don't worry about that yet. Of the 7-step things that you guys were working on, do you recognize any of them in this plan? Okay, well, what is this whole page about? It says it in black letters under the box at the top. Jim uses,
Several tactics to farm his preferred geographic area.
this is just geographic farming of strangers. And it's the same things that you guys put on your 7 steps. I didn't plan that exactly, but I had a pretty good guess that that might happen. Because the reality is when you're doing your listings, you're creating mini farms. Oh. Right?
Bless you.
So bless you.
Thank you.
So now, and this is an offense class, this is like, what are we gonna do? Offense is action, right? So this is like all the other stuff that we just did, that's planning. Planning is not a verb. It is a verb, but it's not allowed in action, right? You plan to plan, then you plan a little bit more, then you prepare to plan, then you. So these farming items, that's literally like, you could just rip off half of these. I wouldn't necessarily take pies to all the strangers in the neighborhood around your listing presentation, but you'll definitely make friends if you did.
I take candy.
You take candy?
I do.
So, I mean, I hope you take a listing in the neighborhood back here. I live on Blue Ridge. So, but like, this gives you some ideas. So now, like, if you wanted to farm a geographic area, and the idea, the concept of that, right? Farming is choosing an area that has something in common, or choosing households that have something in common and targeting it with an action plan. There's several types of farming. You can look this up in the book Shift if you're feeling a little shifty. And there is demographic farming, sociographic farming, and geographic farming. Okay, essentially demographic farming is it's a group of people that are like, right? Sociographic farming is there's something in their way that, like, something in their lifestyle that they have in common, right? I farm to CrossFitters. I'm clearly not CrossFitting lately, but like, right, like so a group of people that has something in common. And geographic is literally they just physically exist in the same general area, and that's what they have in common. Now, geographic farming tends to have the least amount of relevancy when it comes to your messaging, because the one thing they have in common is where they live, but they don't have all the other lifestyle things in common that are really important, right? As opposed to like maybe a message that goes out to people who love horses, and then now you can speak to them about equine things and equine properties. Does that make sense? Okay, so farming is literally just picking an area and attacking it with an action plan. So these 8 items on here, really, really good for farming in general, but also really good to take over to that listing plan that you just did and think, cool, where are my verbs on my plan? And can I steal any of these, right? And if you think about it, a lot of them were there. Snail mail was one of the things. Boots on the ground, door knocking or whatever, right? Open houses, that's part of your listing rollout. Then you can apply that into farming. So who here doesn't have a listing that's live right now? It's okay. Who here has a listing who here does not have a listing that's live? Okay. Do you have an area where you'd like to do more business? Think about that. Do you have an area specifically where you'd like to do more business? No? Yeah? Where is it?
In Harrisburg, great development, Chatham Glen.
Perfect. The more specific, the better, right? So Chatham Glen. So, cool. First thing with the open houses is if you want to do more business in Chatham Glen, you need to physically get your ass up there. Okay, one way or the other. You can door knock it, that's random, or you can put yourself in the pathway of people who might want to do real estate in Chatham or near it, right? So first step is look in the neighborhood. And when I say this, it's like anybody who doesn't have an active listing, like we have 200 agents here, give or take, and we have a lot of people who have listings that may not want to do an open house. And get yourself into places like where you can be in the path of an open house in that neighborhood. You can also do neighborhoods that are not that neighborhood, but are step up or step down neighborhoods. Okay, so who can you think that would maybe want to move into Chatham Glen, and what neighborhood do they currently live in? And who would maybe move out of Chatham Glen into another neighborhood? Maybe I have zero clue what Chatham Glen is. Is it single family homes?
Yeah, pretty much.
Big?
No, just middle class, just a big development.
Great, big development, middle class, love it. Where do those people go when they are more successful at work? When they make more money, what's the next neighborhood they move into?
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
and it starts the wheels turning. And another way to think about it, like, do you have downsizers leaving neighborhoods, right? Divorce, death, like those are two things that really cause houses to sell. So like, are they leaving and downsizing? Do you want to do an open house? And if you can't find open houses in the neighborhood you'd love to be in, go to the neighborhood where those people might end up going or where they're coming from. So if they're retiring and going to a condo community, maybe you can find an open house in the condo community. And then that will allow you to meet people who are leaving the big houses and coming there because they're downsizing. Make sense? Like, that's all the planning aspect. None of that matters if you don't do the work, just for the record, right? But it's like, there is no excuse for not putting yourself in the path of business. No excuse for it. Not being mean, there just isn't. And even if there isn't an open house that you can get yourself into, you can look at these things. It takes zero amount of real estate knowledge to put a stamp on an envelope and send it in the mail. Right? So it's just about doing the actual work. That's why I brought like the envelopes. Actually, there's still some envelopes and cards over there and door hangers. Like, go do the work in those places and the opportunities will exist there, right? What do they say? The grass grows where you water it. So I just want to challenge you on that. The reason I put this one in here when I knew that we were doing a breakout that had nothing to do with farming is that it actually did have a lot to do with farming. And this gives you just one more thing. So I'm gradually just printing and giving out this playbook so you can save yourself the $20. You just got to keep coming back as we work our way through it. The other one that I wanted to share was the next one is creating 400,000 listing leads. Lessons from creating 400,000 listing leads. So it's like really idiot proof. It's a two-step process. Step one, build it. Step two, increase it. And it's all about database of homeowners, right? Step one is build the database of homeowners. Step two is increase the database conversion, meaning build it and get stuff out of it. Like, it's that simple. So the reason I put that in there, if you didn't catch on, the theme of today was actually the theme of Keller Williams, which is the 3 L's. Can anybody do the 3 L's? Do more training around this place. So 3 L's, write this down. It's actually a triangle.
Yeah.
It's a triangle. It's a simple triangle.
It's listing and love.
Yeah.
Well, I was waiting for other people maybe.
Nobody did it. That's terrible. On the left side, leads,
Mhm.
listings and leverage. So that's what this is all about, right? The MREA playbook, in fact, breaks it out into leads, listings, leverage. The whole conversation is we need to get leads that take us to listing, which we then can leverage. And then in your team, like anybody know what the last thing, how many levels of teams are there in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book? There's level 1 team. At level 2, you hire what?
Mhm.
An admin. So glad you said that. Okay, level 2, you hire an admin. Then all the way up. Does anybody know what the last thing is that a rainmaker CEO real estate agent gives up in their business?
Their job.
And their job is what at the very end? Listings. Everything relies on listings, leads, listings, and then leverage to finish it off, because leverage is where you grow and scale. Okay. So that's what this whole conversation was about, right? So we did the 7-step listing process. And how do we generate leads off of every step of the 7-step listing process? So that other page here is about how to create, or what lessons that they learned from generating a massive amount. And the last piece was building your database with micro events. So I just, again, wanted to put that in your hands. I don't care what actions you. I'm not emotionally attached to what you pick. I've gradually, this is the 3rd time we've done a playbook class where I printed some things out. I've gradually just given you little pieces of little components of the playbook, because there are options. Do people knock it out of the park with small events?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Do you hold small events?
No.
You don't have to. Right? But I want to put ideas out there where you might be like, I think I might hold a small event. That might be something I'm gonna do, right? Or you know what? Joe keeps yelling at us about doing more with our listings. I'm actually gonna try this 7-level thing. I'm gonna do a massive open house for the first time. I'm gonna go out and get extra signs and just really go all in. I was in Pittsburgh on Monday and Tuesday. And one of the agents that just joined us from Realty One out there, she came, I met with her in December and gave her the playbook for a 7-level open house. She had 2 open houses this weekend with a combined total of 32 people through. And she was like, it was like not that hard. I was like, it's like, yeah, right? So she came as a small team, she came with a small investor, small, like 50 units, like not small. And she came, and guess what he's really excited about? His listings are gonna sell faster, and she's gonna find more opportunities, because now guess what? Guess one of the people that came to the open house was the neighbor who may need to sell. Right? So my encouragement is pick something and do it. We don't need to get here and like read through these sheets together. That's like a tragedy. So we're not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that to you. I don't wanna do it either. But I'm gonna keep handing these to you. We're gonna have interesting conversations about things we can go do, activities we can take, ways we can behave that will generate money. We are here to make money. If you do not make money, you need to go find a full-time job, because you're not treating this like one. Yes, Carter. And then you had a question too?
A comment.
Okay, can I take Carter first and then I'm here. Carter, what's up?
How you doing, sir?
What's up?
So basically my question is, could you give me maybe 1 or 2 examples of how to generate leads on an 18-year-old budget?
Absolutely. So you can do your 2 strategies to generate leads. Strategy number 1 is buy them. Strategy number 2 is work. So sweat equity is going to be your pathway, man. And I would say like partnering up with somebody who has listings and is willing to let you host open houses. You can put that in the Facebook group. If I was you, I would try to host 30 to 40 open houses in 2025. And if you get 1 viable lead from half of those open houses, you're going to close 15 deals. And if you close 15 deals, you'll be in the top 20% of real estate agents nationwide. Math doesn't lie. Neither does work though. That means 30 to 40 of your weekends are about to have an open house. And every one of those is 10 hours. So now you're going to do 400 hours worth of time on open houses, which is 10 40-hour working weeks. So you still have another 32 to fill. and then you can have time off as well. Like, that's literally it. Is that helpful, Carter?
That's very helpful. So, anybody there? Do you need a open house? I'll be ready.
Good question. Good question. Well, I don't know if we have anybody in the room that immediately has one, but use the Facebook group and put it out there. And then the other aspect is, man, at 18 years old, your immediate circle, I don't want to set you up for failure. Your immediate circle is probably not going to be your people that are going to be doing a bunch of transactions, although some of them will be buying in the next 3 to 4 years, most likely. But their parents are absolutely consumers right now. And especially if you know 18-year-old kids, then your friends are probably moving out and downsizing is happening in real life right around you. And like, I would put yourself in the pathway there. So anybody know who Mike Kushla is? You know the name. So Mike joined KW. He actually had started his own brokerage and property management company. I worked with Mike. Mike was 18 and a half when he got into real estate. He bought his first house and became a real estate agent and started working in real estate like before 20 years old. He was, I don't know if he would hate that I say this, but for sure, a net worth millionaire before he hit the age of 20. And has like tons and tons of business like that. I mean, now he works over at Integrity. He kind of like, some other things, but like he wanted a different like way of creating revenue. But you can absolutely at 18 years old hustle after it.
So I had a comment about farming.
Yes.
So I did a training like a year ago, all about farming, because I'd never done it before. And basically in 6 weeks, you had to like farm. So I didn't want to pick a large neighborhood. Everybody else was picking really large neighborhoods with like 300 plus houses. And I was thinking about, I was like, okay, so I'm either going to pay a lot of money, or if I'm not going to pay a lot of money, I'm going to have a lot of time into this.
Yeah.
So I picked a neighborhood that had 87 houses in it, because I figured that was 87 letters, stamps, just low costs and a little bit lower time. And I did 3 mailings and I have got like 1.5 million. And it was less than, I mean, a little bit of time, because if you don't want to spend a lot of money, you're putting the time into it. And I had to pay somebody like $80 to print me out labels, because I can't
Did the
figure it out.
$45,000 in commissions cover the 80
No,
bucks?
yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
And then a thing about the open houses, I switched, like, I don't try to get buyers out of open houses anymore, because everybody that comes through has an agent. So when I do an open house, I'm simply trying to get people in the neighborhood that might be listing in the next year.
Look.
So that's my, I don't even try to get buyers.
Remember how earlier on I was asking like who's your target? Like, does she have clarity on that? She knows exactly. Like, and now if you don't even want the buyers, like you can partner with a Carter. I mean, like, Carter, come to my open house. All the buyers that come in, you get a little FaceTime. You can go run them around, pay me a referral on that for the opportunity or whatever, right?
I mean, I still want buyers, but I'm targeting the buyers.
I'm just saying, like that, like you could do that.
Yeah.
Or I mean, maybe every other weekend you don't take the buyers or whatever. Like, it's a choice. Like you can either make more money and spend less time at home, or right. It's like we're all trading everything. So I love that. Great share. Farming is super fascinating because when I was a Matt's coach, I coached somebody and she was obsessed with grabbing market share. If you look at the top of that farming page, he talks about like he went from 0% market share to 50% market share in 2 years. She was in this neighborhood in the Atlanta suburbs. It was a huge neighborhood, like one of those like big sprawling neighborhoods, and she was just obsessed with getting market share in that neighborhood. And what we actually figured out was like, we did the math. So like, like 87 homes. Well, you can figure out how many homes have sold historically on an annual basis out of those 87.
That's what I started with.
Yeah.
My first mailing was basically 3 homes have sold in the past 6 months, and here's what they sold for.
Yeah.
How does that affect you?
And you as a realtor, now like let's say that means that every year 6 people in that neighborhood statistically are gonna sell. Your job is just to meet those 6 people and be front and center in their mind when they say, but I think I'm gonna use her because it seems active around here. That's the whole idea of farming. So you can just like, it's not about like willy-nilly just picking random addresses and just shotgunning it out there. Like there is a whole science to that. And when you do that, you can meticulously work your way up in market share and like, you know, in a big neighborhood, the one that she was farming in Atlanta, like she only needed to get to like 15% market share, but 15% market share would be like 28 houses and a $500,000 average sales price. Like she's set, you know what I mean? I'm still on her mailing list because I was her coach for like a year and a half. I still, every single month I get like cool little mailers, like with like little, she like sends like cool stuff, like little trinkets and all these other things. And it's the same thing that she sends to the entire neighborhood. It's like her two daughters help her stock envelopes every single month.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you said about farming, like the socially like active interests, how do you sprinkle in and not be a weirdo, like, by the way, I sell real estate.
That's a good question. So mind share first for market share later. So like start with being interesting. Start with being interested in the topic, like what brings those people together, and then later focus on like interesting things related to real estate. So like there is definitely an art and science to that subtlety of like not just barfing real estate on people. But
if you really go into the attitude of a relationship first, truly,
yeah,
that authentic comes out. Someone's gonna ask you, what do you do?
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and like, so Katie is actually a really good example, Katie Klink. Like she knew, I mean, she came from the horse world, right? So she knew she wanted to target like equine properties. And so it was like, well, like, dude, you're at horse shows all the time, like you're in that community. So like, how are you generating those relationships? And that was a really intentional path that she took. But then she gets, I mean, I think she was just posting like a $750,000 equine property, not
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, she's killing it.
Yeah. Helpful? Was today cool?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, appreciate you guys. Thanks. And probably next month. Trying to do these monthly. Hey. Thanks everybody online.